Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 40, the big 40 of No Shots Fired. This is Prepare Thyself for the Finalest boss. Because today we're going to be talking about final bosses, a topic we've put considerable research and thought into over the past week. In addition to this very well thought out, extremely nuanced topic, we'll be talking about God of War, I guess, because I guess Doc got back into that for some reason.
Giving it a go.
In a very timely manner, right? Since it's right at the height.
I mean, it's more recent than our other one.
Hey, to be fair, they did a release for the Switch recently, so it's still mildly relevant.
Oh, it's totally relevant.
And that equal relevant game is Diablo III. I'm going to segue into a Dungeons & Dragons update. Again, finish off with that delightful little topic we've come up with for you, and then, as always, take your questions. I guess I shouldn't be saying anything since I didn't play any game this past week, so I have no way of contributing. But yeah, let's launch into God of War. So, first of all, what prompted you to take up the mantle again?
Okay, yeah, it's been May, I think was my last save in that game. Just listening to a lot of the Game of the Year stuff. It was very highly regarded by numerous things. And I decided, all right, I'm going to set this on the easiest difficulty and just go. And so far, that's been a good decision. Because I've been, combat has been, because I think my big hang-up back then, whatever episode of the podcast that was, because I remember talking about it, but, was that the combat was not clicking with me. Like, I was just not good at it. Like, I could recognize that there was a way to be, successful and stuff,
sure.
But I'm just not a big, character action game person. So, and the setting I went to is it's literally called, just show me a story. So I appreciated that. That was good.
That's awesome that they named it that.
Yeah. So no, and it's, I will say, I'd never played any of the previous God of War games, and I don't think you guys did either, right? Because, it's a PlayStation exclusive franchise.
I have not played any of them.
Okay. And it was, so previously, it was all Greek mythology, right? Which is just not super interesting to me. It just kind of feels a little too well-tread. I mean, not that there's not a lot of Norse mythology stuff, but at least I don't know, almost every Norse god off the top of my head. And the names are kind of cooler. And I don't know, the Norse mythology aspect was more compelling to me. So I've made it out of the tutorial area. I made it to the lake. I got confronted with the world serpent, which was cool. It moving lowered the level of the lake to expose new areas, which was interesting. Then I went on the Bifrost to Alfheim to get the light of Alfheim, of course.
Is that like taking the 405 to get on the 5?
No.
What's the?
I guess if the 405 hadn't been used in 150 years, but
driving on it feels like it hasn't been touched up.
This may be something I may throw my PS4 over here and stream it a little bit. The graphics are very impressive. I will say that the scale, and I think I from what I've listened to and read about previous God of War games, scale is something they're very good at because you're fighting titans and stuff in the previous games. But there are some really big characters in this game, and I've also run into 2 dwarfs who are very funny. One's a germaphobe, which is really funny in the... Because, you're just coming, with an axe just covered in blood. And
right.
He's not too happy about that. Mimir and Send... I don't know.
How did you befriend these dwarves?
I just kind of ran into them, and they're like, hey, you have that... okay, backstory. It starts with your wife being dead.
Sure, I know that.
Again. Not the first time. Another time. And so you have a son, Atreus, who you and him, my main quest overarching right now is to take her ashes to the top of the mountain. it turns out she was a giant. And they made you have an axe is your main weapon called the Leviathan axe, which I will say is very satisfying when you can throw it and then just call it back to you, and the way that animates and it just kind of feels good to do that. Also, I've had a ton of enemies where I will just I'll stand back and just lob the axe at them and just kill them that way, which is always satisfying. But the axe also has frost powers. So you use that in solving puzzles to you'll be doing something with a chain, then have to throw the axe to freeze on a certain spot to hold open a door kind of thing, or there'll be poison drifting through the area. So if you freeze the source of that, the poison goes away. It's fun little ways to kind of involve that aspect of it. But so I'm making my way through the mountain now, trying to get to the top of it. And yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a fair amount more once you do that, because I think you go to all 7, 9 realms. There's a few realms, but yeah. I mean, I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would. I will say that without the easier difficulty, I probably would have stopped again. Just because I've not gotten better at the combat. It's just the combat has become less of a factor. But I will say, despite how bad I am, it is still gratifying. I think, mini bosses in this game are trolls. I think trolls or ogres, big guys who carry this huge stone pillar, and that's their weapon. But so the finishing blow on them is you jam your axe into their head and do this flip thing that then you get the axe into the stone pillar and just bring it down on their head, which is a satisfying animation there, because you put no doubt in it on if that guy's going to get back up.
You don't need to check the pulse on that.
No, not even a little bit. But and the I will say the voice actor for Kratos is fantastic. There's just the deepness of the voice is real good, and he just says "boy" a lot, which is good. So,
in reference to his son,
yes.
Not oh boy, this is a pickle.
Yeah, and I just started unlocking stuff for him so he can summon spectral wolves to help us out in battle, which is cool. So, yeah. Speaking of spectral things. There's another Diablo game. Third one. They made another one.
So Doc, before I go into my little spiel on this, would you want to sort of describe your journey into the game so far?
So, in solidarity, I have decided to purchase it on another system, so I got the Switch version. To play with Junkblade was my plan. And I got it a couple days ago, fired it up. I was like, I'll start a character and, get caught up. Junkblade happened to be on, and I looked at how far he was, and he's beaten it, basically, right? Have you beaten the story?
I have beaten the plot and have just moved on to adventure mode, where I just sort of go through the little objectives and do the Nephilim riffs.
Did you beat the main plot, or did you also beat Reaper of Souls?
I also beat Reaper of Souls.
Holy crap! Okay,
Getting through that got me to level 70, and this is why I was saying you should describe your journey first.
Well, my wizard lady is level 4. There's some stuff going down in New Tristram, and I'm gonna get to the bottom of it.
Don't you get 4 levels of experience for naming your character? I mean, it's not very.
No, I have killed a few wretched witch mother people. And I've gone back and talked to Captain Rumford, and he says, there's stuff to be done. So
I like Captain Rumford, by the way.
Seeing how far I had to go put a little dent in my momentum. In terms of hopping on in with Junkblade here. But, I'm running a wizard as my first go-around. You should just make a new character and we can do it that way.
That is actually what I had planned on, because I've got...
Nope, my idea. I just said it.
Yeah, sure. It's not like I didn't already have that idea for playing with other friends I have on Diablo 3.
Too bad that's not on the podcast here. Okay. Well, all right. So, I guess real quick, what character will you be running with me before we get into your god tier characters?
You are running a wizard, so I figure I should give a melee class a try. So I'll do monk or barbarian, since I've already got crusader reserved for something else.
I think you would like monk, just in terms of their like attitude and stuff.
I have given every class a play back on Xbox 360.
Okay.
Demon Hunter is the only one I've refused to do again because the class is just so poorly designed.
Ah, gotcha. I say monk was my original playthrough on PC, and I really enjoyed it. Smacking a huge bell on enemies was always very satisfying. Okay, but you're going through the Switch version. How's that going?
It's been going very well. Let's see. I've just been sort of thinking about the game in general as I go through it, and have you played through Reaper of Souls yourself before? Yeah. Okay.
A long time ago.
I think I even played through it at some point.
No, it was after you had quit, I think. Because it didn't come out until after you and the guys had stopped playing, I thought.
That was a little way. Yeah, I was a little ways down the road.
Yeah.
I just thought I
you might have hopped back in and just done it. It wasn't a long one, so.
Isn't so the like the Witcher guy? He's not called a Witcher. Double crossbow guy. What's his name? Isn't
Demon
that Reaper
Hunter.
of Souls? Isn't that Reaper of Souls?
Demon Hunter? I don't think so.
No, that would be the crossbow guy you're talking about is probably your follower, Lyndon.
No, I was a double crossbow guy.
That
would be...
Demon Hunter was always in the game, right? That was a...
Yeah, he's always been in the game. Crusader is what they added for Reaper of Souls, and then Necromancer came later. Yeah. And you would have had to have played through the main campaign and beaten Diablo to have gotten to the Reaper of Souls expansion anyway.
Yeah, but I swear I bought this. Like I know I own this for computer.
Huh. Okay, fair enough.
I mean, that doesn't mean I've done anything with it, but I definitely own this.
Okay.
All right, well, we'll check that later and get back to everybody.
Anyway, so back on topic for a bit.
I feel like I'm being very helpful here.
Reaper of Souls feels weird to me because it doesn't really feel all that connected to the previous 4 acts, but it also feels the most well-designed of them to me.
I remember liking it, but it would be tough for it to kind of be super related, right? Because the way that ends, it's kind of like fucking...
Yeah, Act 4 ends with you beating up Diablo, so it's not like you can really go anywhere from there.
And I would have been bummed out if it would have been like, oh, but wait a second.
Yeah. Admittedly, it would be very hard to actually write a proper "and then this happens" scenario for Act 5.
Yeah.
But you can kind of notice the disconnect between it and the rest of the plot.
Definitely, yeah. And maybe that may have been more noticeable had I played it all in succession, like I'm going to now. As opposed to like a year and a half later or whenever it came out, you know.
Yeah.
So that's a good point.
But it's the area I definitely like best in the game because it fits the general aesthetic I like best.
Okay.
Of like the swampy, castle-y area that Westmarch is.
Oh, okay.
My least favorite part of the game is Chaldeum in Act 2 because it's a desert city, and I do not like desert environments in games. I've just never enjoyed them, and this is why I don't play Fallout games. Because, like, the environment just bores me for whatever reason.
That's fair. I have heard that from multiple people, actually. Quick update. I do own Reaper of Souls.
Do you have the achievement for completing it?
How do I see that?
I have no idea.
It's not installed right now, so
okay.
Not a great sign.
Well, I don't think Diablo is installed on my computer right now either, but that's because I put everything on my SSD, and that was not a lot of space on that one. Okay, but so a good environment. And is that where you're doing most of the Nephilim rifts now, or?
Oh well, the Nephilim rifts are just like randomly generated areas. Sadly, the regular Nephilim rifts I actually find very obnoxious to go through because they're sort of a maze-like area where you can just like hit a dead end and then have to go all the way back to find more enemies to kill.
Uh-huh.
Whereas the greater rifts are all pretty much a straight line, which is beneficial there because you have a 15-minute time limit to clear them.
Okay. Oh,
which I have not failed to do as of yet, which I am very happy for.
Flexing a little bit, deservedly so. Most important question: what pet are you using?
I only have the 3 default pets right now, so I am using the StarCraft.
Yes. Okay. Good. I was going to end this conversation right now if it was anything else. Okay. Val, there's a little like Diablo battlecruiser that follows you around all rickety and collects gold for you. That's great.
What?
Did you get the Ganondorf armor or whatever?
Yes, I did.
Oh, I need that.
What you're going to want to do is wait until you've gotten what's pretty much going to be your final armor for the game, or just gotten so rich where 50,000 gold.
Oh, it's an ornament thing. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good actually. All right, what's the coolest weapon you've gotten so far? So Slash, what character are you playing right now? What's your
Necromancer is the main one I'm playing right now because I want to try and get my Paragon level up to 200 before doing another.
Hundo.
Specifically because that way you can max out one of each of the categories and then that helps all of your characters.
Okay.
So the other reason is because if I find a certain legendary gem from the greater Nephilim rifts, you can remove the level requirement on an item.
Ooh.
So I can just give one of my newbies a level 70 legendary and just plow through the game.
Just raffle stomp through the...
Yeah.
Which is really the point of anything, right?
That would be satisfying.
Yeah.
Like the cutscene with this badass demon, then you just go, bop!
It's sort of like, you played through the game fairly, now you just want to go God mode on everything.
It's that Pro ZD video where he just finds all 99 gold pine cones and slaps the guy. Okay. But playing it on the Switch has been a good experience?
Yes, it has. The only complaint I have, and this is not directed at anything in particular, is that I don't actually have a stand for the Switch. So I have to play it with the controllers attached to it, rather than using the little controller hookup they packaged with the Switch.
Well, it's got the little kickstand.
Mine didn't, either I have not found that, or mine didn't have that, for whatever reason.
What?
So I just need to find it later,
No, you go grab your Switch right now, because if they took out that kickstand, that'd be breaking news right here on the NSF podcast.
Is it attached to the,
it's just a little fold-out. No, it's attached to the console.
Oh. Okay, give me just a moment.
A little foldy-doober. This is a helpful finger motion that I'm doing. It's you, like, pop it out to, like, change the micro SD card, too.
Oh. I think I see what you're talking about. One moment.
This is a big moment for everybody.
This is a big moment.
This is
either way. Because if they took it out, then we're gonna have outrage.
Yeah, it works.
There you go.
I did not realize that's what that was.
I think that's also the slot if you want to upgrade the memory.
Which I probably will have to do at some point, because there are some games that are like only on the Nintendo Online Shop sort of thing.
Yeah. Yes.
I will probably get Hollow Knight for it before the trip to Florida.
Yeah. I think 128 gigabytes you can usually find for like $20, I think.
Oh, not bad at all.
That's
really good.
I'll have to look, but those are on sale like every other day. It feels like I get like a tweet about that on Amazon. But where do I have them? I don't know. I'll check later. Okay, cool.
So, and I don't know, it's probably not podcast material, but Curly McSweeter had bought Hollow Knight. I'm going to attribute it to all of us talking about the game.
Has to be.
It is a very fun game.
That was the opening game of AGDQ today. So
really,
yep. And
what is that again?
Awesome Games Done Quick is a speed.
That's right. I couldn't remember. Right,
okay.
I couldn't remember the acronym.
The week-long speedrunning marathon I cannot recommend enough. Raising money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation on this one. Right now running Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. So,
do you know how quickly they completed?
It was less than an hour and a half, I think.
Good lord.
True ending also. So, Valen, did you get the true ending?
What's the true ending again?
Did
you fight the Radiance.
Yeah, did you fight a boss after Hollow Knight?
Yeah.
Okay.
I knocked that sun gun out of the fake sky. Spoiler alert, I guess, maybe?
I guess. I don't think we actually gave enough information for that to really be much of a spoiler, other than there being a boss called the Radiance that you have to fight to get the true ending.
Oh, this would be such a good segue into our topic.
Oh man, you're right.
Yeah.
This is a good segue.
Speaking of segues, what's up in Dungeons and Dragons?
Well, nothing's saying we have to go to D&D right now. We could just go into final bosses.
No, I need the D&D.
Yeah, if you come back.
All right. But you guys did this to yourselves. Excuse me?
Who's in the what?
No, I've just got a bit of indigestion.
Okay.
So we actually played 2 campaigns this weekend. I ran mine, and my friend ran his.
Okay.
This is the campaign with the cannibal elf.
Oh, good.
Okay.
This guy again.
Probably our favorite. Doc and I's favorite character of all the ones that you Dungeons and Dragons with.
Zor of Zos.
That's the name?
That is his name. Zor of Zos.
What historical relevance does that name have?
I forget the reasoning behind Zor, but there is a place called Bob Zos Law Offices that he got the last name from.
Oh, okay. So this just has, there's no, okay, I see the MO here.
A true scholar.
All right, what adventure did you and this winter get up to?
We have figured out that there's this jerk named Thrisdun who wants to, destroy literally everything in the universe. And we're like...
Whoa. I need a little bit more about the figuring out process, because that's big news. I mean, that's not just like
This feels like a smokescreen to throw us off the cannibals trail, really.
I think.
I should probably mention some other things about the cannibal at some point, but anyway,
is it stuff that would upset us? Because then maybe just leave
probably.
Out those details.
If you're already upset by the cannibal part.
Oh man. Okay, sorry. Continue.
So we found. The issue now is that I am trying to remember what all things that I've covered and whether or not I've actually forgotten a few sessions, or if just in between. So yeah, remind me what the last thing I talked about.
Yeah, the last thing that happened is you emerged from this mysterious forest, you found a town, you fought off the demons attacking the town, and then you learned that you had to go to some other place to get more information on what was going on.
Okay, so
did you take notes on this, Val? And how in the world did you? I just remember the cannibal guy. That was it.
So yes, I did actually accidentally skip something because apparently maybe it just like happened in the downtime between our podcasts, and I don't know.
Doc, as preparation for the podcast, I obviously study extensively on all relevant materials.
Okay, so we went to the village that we were told to go to get more information on what the heck's happening. And we come across, well, a village, a rather small looking one with only like 6 houses. And there's a very strange obelisk in the center of this village. And as we approach, there are like 20 guys with spears that pop out and point them all at us. Don't worry, we questioned the 20 guys with spears and 6 houses thing as well.
Okay.
I actually wasn't going to nitpick about that, but...
So... we were told to go find the leader of the previous town's brother here, and we did. And as we went here, apparently some wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff happened, and 6 years passed for this village.
Classic.
So, what used to be a village of 100 people is now down to 20, which makes the logistics of the 6 houses even weirder.
Fair. Okay, well,
I'm really trying not to think about it now.
Yeah. I mean, I would have.
I'm sure there's just like hidden houses nearby because they're guarding this obelisk. But, you know, it's the kind of thing that we as players have to be pedantic about to the DM to annoy him. Anyway, we talk with them a little while and are like, hey, what's up with this obelisk thing? And they're like, don't touch it. Why not? Everyone who's touched it has regretted it. Okay, why? Because, well, we can't tell you specifically. Something different happens to every single person. And just a back and forth exchange like that.
Why are you trying to touch... Wait, why are you trying to touch the obelisk?
We aren't trying to touch the obelisk. We're just wondering what's going on with it and why it feels weird to all of us.
When you say feels weird, you're getting like,
yeah, vague. But when I try and cast Detect Evil on it, it just doesn't do anything. The spell fizzles instead of working in any way. When Cannibal Elf looks at it, he's supposed to have constant detect magic going on, and that's not working either. Then when Drunken Priest Friend decides that they do want to touch the obelisk, apparently the flash of magic is so great for the elf that he literally just faints. And when
did he detect so much magic that he can't handle
it? Yeah, that is actually a possible side effect of a high enough level of magic, or in the case of the detect alignment spells, that appropriate alignment. Like if you tried using detect good and looked at the highest level angel as a normal person, you'd just faint because it would be so blinding.
Okay.
Man, they should put that on the warning label of those spells.
Yeah, that would be good.
So, the priest, after having touched the obelisk, just sort of describes the various horrible apocalyptic visions they saw, and I don't think we know it's Tharizdun at this point in character, but we're pretty sure out of character. And and I'll get into Tharizdun himself in a bit. But even though this obviously wasn't necessarily a smart idea, my character was like, well, the obelisk is giving us information about our enemy, so I need to know as much as I can, and touches the obelisk as well. The elf had looked away at this point, and when my character woke up from the visions, they were just like, meh, okay, now we kind of know what we're dealing with, to some degree. It's like, and then the guy's like, hey, if you need more information on this, there is a place you can go with some. There's these old ruins you can go to with a sage there that should be able to help you. And so, like, okay, and just fly off that away. Obviously, okay. I'm simplifying things a little bit, but this is a general gist of what's going on during the session. So we come to these old ruins that have an anti-magic field over the entire thing. So, like, none of my spells work. The elves' eyes, Legolas's elf eyes don't see anything. And we just wait for... well, we look around for a bit first, and we just don't see anybody. So we're like, hey, we're here to talk to somebody. We need some information. And, no response, because apparently the guy who lives here is a jerk. And, when we're going to bed that night, then, like, literally 100 skeletons pop up, along with this thing called an Alhoon Lich, which is what happens when a Mind Flayer becomes a Lich.
What's a What's a Lich again?
Skeletal undead that holds their soul in a magical item.
Okay, and a Mind Flayer.
The weird bipedal octopus dudes.
Okay. Yeah. Say my most recent Mind Flayer exposure is Stranger Things, which is not that. But.
Fair.
Okay.
Which I still need to watch, by the way.
Oh, you haven't watched it?
I have not.
It's scary, but good.
So,
you haven't seen season 2 yet?
Me?
Yes.
I thought the plan was for us to watch with you. That's what Mom told me, so I haven't watched any of the rest of season 1 yet.
Oh wow! Okay, that'll be fun. Okay, yeah, yes, then that is the plan.
Season 3, July 4th. So.
Everybody needs a nice, scary Independence Day.
Exactly.
Anyway,
exciting. I didn't realize it was. Yeah, kind of getting knocked down. All right,
the Alhoon Lich does an expedition dump on us and explains the visions we had. And it's like, yeah, that's Tharizdun. And then
why is he just explaining everything?
Because he's arrogant.
He's I guess he's decided we're on his side because he's against Tharizdun.
Okay. I'm a big.
Why do you want to save the universe? What did the universe ever do for you? Because I'm one of the idiots that lives in it.
I like that. What's that from?
The Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh. Okay.
Anyway, the next session picks up with us discovering that he is, in fact, a condescending jackass. In fact, I think the phrase, alright, so I would love to help you guys out some more, but I've got more important things to deal with, was used.
By this lich?
Yeah.
I mean, he is a lich. Usually the process of lichifying yourself drives the person insane, so... I don't know how it works with mind flayers, but...
The way it works with mind flayers is they're already insane. So anyway,
All right. So yeah, you met a guy. He helped explain who the big bad was.
Or who you think the big bad is.
Right.
Yeah. You never know on these things.
Yeah, I guess trusting a mind flayer lich might be a mistake.
Just one or two red flags in there for me, personally.
Yeah, you think the big bad is going to be Tharizdun the whole time, and then it turns out it's the Demogorgon.
Classic.
I would bet it's the cannibal guy in your own party.
I would turn on him at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, I would just...
Any hat. Just...
Well, no one's dropping any hats right now, so no turning on him.
All right. So that was your friend. That's your friend's campaign,
yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, we did the rest of this session yesterday. We did a little bit of combat, but that was pretty much it.
Okay.
We killed some cultists of a god named Erythnol, the god of slaughter, because they were literally just killing anything and everything in their path.
Boy, I am just going to need like a notebook of names of this thing, because...
I am genuinely convinced that at like 3,000 years in the future, that like the D&D deities and a bunch of comic books are going to be found, and the civilization is going to be like, these are the gods of ancient times.
What were these people thinking? Oh my goodness! We can only hope, right? That would be fun. It'd be better than what actually is happening, right? So let's hope.
Yeah, let's hope.
Let's hope we can fool the future people.
And they'll be like, "Oh, hey, this is a lot more encouraging than this other stuff we found."
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, they just believed this nonsense makes a lot more sense
than that nonsense.
Oh, thank goodness! This other stuff was really freaking me out.
All right, maybe we should go to final bosses now.
Well, I was going to give the update for my D&D campaign, since I think we've only been going about...
You beat the penultimate guy, basically, right? Was that the last we heard?
Remind me the name of the penultimate guy, you recall.
It was the half-dragon...
Azar Cool.
Yes.
The High Worm Lord.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Last time on Dragon Ball Z, they beat Azar Cool, the High Worm Lord of the Red Hand of Doom.
With a Kamehameha, I hope. Yep, okay.
How did they beat him? I think the witch just cast a spell on him to take down his last couple of hit points.
Did she at least go Kamehameha and, like, do the hand motion?
She did not, sadly.
Oh, jeez. Valen, you need to YouTube the Kamehameha, because it's great.
You've made me do that before, because this sounds extremely familiar.
Maybe.
All right, but you do need to wrap up your D&D update quickly, because if we're already 40 minutes in, we got to keep this show rolling.
Fair. So they return to their castle to, have a victory feast, and it goes pretty well before they decide.
I would hope the feast goes well.
Well, there were lots of people involved, so sometimes things happen. But anyway, they move on from that. They decide. After the feast, they're like, hey, we're gonna go do some different side quests. And actually, since we'll just get to my updates next time, because I realize I've had 2 sessions of my campaign since the last time I discussed the updates, and a lot has happened. So on the topic of Azar Cool, final bosses.
Gosh, now I'm like all Kami-Kami-Ka, like
Okay, well...
well, let's preface the topic first. So the whole idea Because we're talking about enjoyable bosses and what we like in bosses, right?
Yeah, or bosses that stuck out as not enjoyable for some specific reason.
Yeah, kind of what we want out of a final boss in a game, sort of thing. So you've been going through, you're at the final battle. What do you want to test your mettle, or do you want to just do like the Super Mario 64? I just want to hit this guy 3 times and get the F to the princess.
I was actually satisfied with the Bowser boss fight. I combined boss and Bowser into Bowser.
No, I did like the how they kind of like iterated on it each time, where like parts of the stage would start falling away and stuff. But like, like the Mario game bosses, it's always just you have to hit them 3 times and then we're good. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. But it's not.
No, it's
the most stringent of final exams.
All right. I mean, I'm gonna. Well, I just said I like the Bowser one, so I don't want to take what I assume will be one of yours, Doc. I'll let you at least say one before I get to say another.
No, you go ahead, because
Sephiroth. Like, far and away, and a big part of that was how.
I say, was that almost entirely how we beat it? I think it would have to be, right?
Because that was such an epic final fight. But also, I think the way they staged, and for those of you who don't know, Sephiroth is the big bad guy in Final Fantasy VII. But I do think the way they stage him, the abilities he has, is very important. So,
except
putting him at
that one attack that takes 2.5 minutes every time, and it literally destroys the solar system.
No, I love that.
And then he does it again, and you're like, oh, these planets reformed very quickly.
So he's got an attack called Supernova, which causes the sun to go supernova and can consume the entire solar
planet.
System. I don't think that attack can actually do lethal damage. I think it does a percentage of your health total, which is impressive that it doesn't kill you outright, because boy, it sure looks.
It looks like you should be floating in space, like everything's gone. But no, I'd say to set up our experience at least, we're going inside the crater as to level up a bit, right? We weren't planning on that being the final journey, but then we realized we had reached a point of no return, and said, screw it, and went for it. And so we got through Genova Death, or whatever the last Genova one is called, and then, what is it, Bizarro Sephiroth is like the first stage of that, right?
Yes,
it's like the huge honking thing. And then Safer Sephiroth, for whatever reason, I think is the name of the final boss. And I think we were down to just Cloud with, was it 1 hit point? Like it was.
Yeah, I think single digits.
Single digit hit points. And a limit break. And we threw that limit break on there. Cloud ran with his comically large sword, ran Sephiroth through, and that was how we won the battle. That turned out to be the final blow. And
would you guys like some fun facts about Sephiroth's supernova ability?
Always. Love it.
Alright, so in the original Japanese version, the animation was short and dealt damage in the 2,000 range.
Okay.
In the US version, they extended the cutscene, and it always deals fractional damage.
Right.
Which was 15 16ths of your current HP.
Okay. Cool. Supernova destroys the entire solar system. Like the comet going into the sun destroys all the previous planets. And then the sun bubbles up, destroys Mercury, Venus, and the Earth. And it's like, okay, well, I guess.
Jason Greenberg, the only artist working on the original PC port, recalled a crash bug that happened during Sephiroth's supernova summon. Near the end of the development cycle, many team members were done with their work and simply helped test the game as much as possible. Greenberg has said he spent at least a full 24 hours playing that one battle.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's so unfortunate.
That sounds like some sort of punishment you would give somebody for some great sin they did in life.
Ooh,
For the next 24 hours, you must fight Sephiroth with extended supernova attack.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many times you win or lose.
But additional characteristics that made, I think, the fight so epic. Completely different song for the fight, and a rather epic one at that. That always is helpful to me. Just like, I don't know, having like, and that's also rare to have rarer, I think, to have a specifically composed final boss music as opposed to like canned boss music or whatever. So that was super cool. And I guess what makes a good boss fight for me too is you got to have adequate build up beforehand. You got to feel like you earned being there in the first place. You fought your way to the finish line. And definitely felt like we did that in Final Fantasy VII, especially with all that chocobo racing work.
Oh, yeah. Gotta get Knights of the Round. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody else hit us with a different big bad guy.
Junkblade, what you got?
Alright, so I'm going to go with both a good and a bad one.
Okay.
I have mentioned the bad one before, so one of my least favorite boss fights in anything is the final boss fight in Fable 2. Because you're literally just fighting a giant chunk of rock that just throws like psychic bolts at you. Which I'm making this sound way more interesting of a boss fight than it actually was. And the reason I dislike this boss fight so much is that for me, part of a boss fight is like my emotional investment in the character's relationship to the boss. So like with Sephiroth, you've been through the game and you know him somewhat as a character.
Right.
The thing I'm fighting here is literally just a giant rock that shoots lightning bolts at me. It's even just shaped like a rock. It is like the most anticlimactic and underwhelming boss fight that I think I can imagine for a game.
Now,
and especially because like the big bad of the game, Lord Lucian, you literally hit him once and he just dies in the middle of his monologue. I don't think an anticlimaxes I don't think work in general, and especially not as like the end of your 8 to 12 hour long journey in a game.
Yeah. Did you kick this rock earlier on in the game? And the rock
I think if I did that, my character would have broken their entire leg because of how big it is.
No, like box like popped up that said the rock will remember this. And...
No, see, that at least could have been funny. Like, it could have been a funny secret boss kind of thing that showed up later. But no, this is actually part of the main plot line, and it's the final boss of the game.
Okay. Yeah, that's something.
So, but on the topic of a good final boss fight, since we already mentioned this earlier in the podcast, this isn't a spoiler, I loved the fight with the Radiants in Hollow Knight.
I did love that fight.
For one, the fight itself is very well designed. Hollow Knight itself is a really well designed game. It feels like Dark Souls, except everything feels fair, whereas there are certain areas in Dark Souls where they just feel like they're cheating you. And it's just sort of... in the sense of it being like Dark Souls, going through the game can be kind of torturous at points. So so spoilers, of course, it is really satisfying seeing your character just wail on the thing that has caused all of this pain and suffering, and just finally get rid of it forever.
Okay, so like I think something that really matters to me in that vein is like is a connection to the story that kind of wraps it up in like a satisfying way.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess maybe an example of one I didn't enjoy. Maybe this isn't necessarily a final boss, but like the end of The Last of Us.
Yeah.
So,
no, but I think we should include sequences, or if the evil is not personified in one figure, that still counts. So
and basically this game, like the entire journey of it, is that this girl you've met is like immune to the zombie virus or whatever. So there's something in her that if they can like perform tests or do something, may be able to manufacture a cure for this, whatever, the zombie apocalypse. And you finally get to the facility or whatever that the organization is running, the Fireflies or whatever. And then you find out that, and this is like a game that's allowed you to kind of make choices throughout the game as to how you act and like what, like, stuff like that. At least to my memory. Maybe I'm totally remembering this wrong. But you find out that the procedure to get, stuff from her is going to kill her. And because... And then you're like... I was kind of like, alright, fine. Because I'm a heartless bastard when it comes to video games, but the character, like, the game would not let you do that.
Right.
So you had to go through, kill, like, everybody, grab her off, like, the operating table, and then, like, kill everybody on your way out. She wakes up in the car and says, like, and, like, she was fine, she wanted to do it. It's like you're going against her wishes as well. So then you kind of lie to her about what happened, and like the game ends with her kind of having a knowing look, which is a testament to the animation of the game, that you're like, she knows that you're lying.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I never need to do that again. And now they're releasing another one, and I'm like, nope, no, thank you. But so I guess. And people may point at like Mass Effect 3 is something maybe similar to them, but that actually for me, like the choices in that, like, one kind of made sense to me in terms of what you do with the Reapers and stuff, but also like I don't know, like the ending for me in terms of that series was the game itself, like because you wrap up like almost every meaningful storyline as you go through the game. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, the Reaper thing, like, that was never, like, I was never holding out hope that was going to be some crazy, awesome choice. Like, that, it just kind of seemed like, that was, that was the set dressing for the smaller stories that Mass Effect did so well, to me.
Sure.
So, but at least those were, that gave you 3 choices, which did do different things in terms of how your shepherd ended up, right?
What was the criticism again? We've talked about this before, but I didn't understand why people were upset.
I think it was because no matter what you did, the world itself was in the same place after that. Was that right?
Well, from what I understand, there was actually a different ending in mind, but it got leaked early, and so they changed it.
Oh, I don't know that.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, but now we're talking.
And so, for a lot of people, it must have felt like the ending came out of nowhere, because it's really hard to be building up to a specific ending and then just take a left turn and make it come across as well written.
Well, yeah, you definitely can't, but is that the, I mean, I guess Doc, you would know better of all of us. Is that the criticism?
I don't remember. I actually don't remember that being an aspect of it. I could be wrong, but I just remember people like not being satisfied with like the lack of like diversity in the actual like what those choices did, sort of thing,
sure.
or like maybe they didn't like the 3 options or something. I mean I kind of purposely avoided too much of the complaining about it because I had played it and I was like, well, I enjoyed it, so whatever.
Right. So who cares?
So I could be wrong on that, but No, definitely a contentious ending.
I will say that what bothers me a lot is in games where you have choices. This is not something to do with the game itself. Well, it can be. Okay, so if you have a choice at the, so either like if you're going to give a character a choice, and ProZD does this really well. If you're going to give them a choice, like for instance, like try to disarm so and so, or like try to talk to so and so. It is really frustrating if no matter what you do, it's basically the same like response from the character.
Yeah.
But by that same token, if you're playing a game with choices, you really shouldn't be going back and trying every single option because that.
Yeah, then you're kind of piercing the veil.
Right, you've already pierced the veil anyway.
So.
Right, so like, since you've already ruined the entire concept, you shouldn't get to complain after the fact that you don't like the choices. Now, I think you get to complain during while it's happening if the choices first of all you don't have like good choices like and what I would find is a good choice in a decision making game is what are like the most logical options. If for instance it's like somebody with a gun, what do you do now? It's like try to run, try to stop him, try to talk him out of it. Like whatever your most organic responses. And if the game doesn't give you those because it's too hard to do that, then you can criticize. But
well, that is something that a lot of that people did criticize about the ending of Mass Effect 3, is that there was like this little monologue setup thing by this star child that you have no reason to trust, and a lot of people who played Shepard as a renegade felt like what their character would do in that situation is just not listen to the monologue and literally shoot the star child thing in the head. And that is an option that was added in later.
Well, that's what you get for playing like a jackass.
Well,
you don't deserve a satisfying ending.
I agree in principle. From what I understand, the original ending, like the only difference between the three endings was what color of lasers shoot out of the space station thing you're on and engulf the universe.
Well, I mean, what happens to Shepard is different.
Admittedly, I have not actually played Mass Effect 2
you're
and 3, so I don't know the full details of the ending because I kind of want to see it for myself when I get the opportunity.
Yeah, and you're right, that definitely was what people were talking about. But no, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if you do end up beating that game, what your thoughts on it are. But in terms of a more specific boss fight, I can actually one that's not necessarily like story related is Splatoon, that I enjoyed quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this cool, really ridiculous like DJ Octopus guy in this big floating spaceship who's trying to beat you up, but also making a sick beat at the same time. So he's got these two stalks of celery that he's using to scratch the records. I think his name's DJ Octavio or something. It's pretty great. But the mechanics of it were a lot of fun because he would send these kind of looking bomb looking things at you, and you would shoot them to slow them down, and if you slowed them down enough, they would go back and hit them. And there were various stages of the fight that were really fun, utilizing the Splatoon mechanics, and it was just really well done and kind of a satisfying fight itself, which I thought was very well done. The music was really good. So presentations obviously a big part of it for all of us, I think, but that was one in particular where I remember thinking the mechanics were a lot of fun too. Maybe not super difficult, but definitely one that if you got good at it, felt really good to pull off some of the stuff. So
I just thought of one that at the time was okay, but now is really 006 in GoldenEye.
Oh.
So the final fight is him running in a loop around the map, and you've got to kill him eventually. But,
okay.
But he runs in this time perpetual loop with constantly generating enemies forever. But so you can you do have to and if you it's one of those things where if you get close enough, you'll start running to the next point or whatever. But if you're if you're aware of what's going on, you can kind of like run up, and if you've got like a machine gun, you can be like right next to him, just like shooting at him. But he has to run like towards his next designated point. It's not great.
Okay. Fun fact: our cartridge when we were kids was like something was wrong, like messed up with it where it wouldn't save. So I never actually beat that game because you had to do it in one sitting. I think we got to the point where like you're fighting like Xenia in like the jungle was like the furthest I remember getting.
That's a frustrating.
So yeah, that was a weird. So I think we only ever played like standard multiplayer because we never like could unlock anything because nothing saved. But okay, that's a funny and very like N64 kind of final boss fight kind of thing, right? Where they've used up so many resources in the rest of the game that the AI kind of has to be like, okay, well,
right.
Hopefully you don't play this too many times and realize what's happening.
Actually, we're running it. We should probably just continue this another time. I think we've run out of time.
Oh.
I was just gonna say we should finish off with what games we plan on playing before the next podcast.
So I would actually like to come back to this again. I think.
Yeah, we can revisit this for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will probably try to go a little bit further in God of War because I've got a little momentum in that one. I'd like to. The story is interesting enough for me now that I've kind of gotten into it a bit, and I may throw that on the stream. That may be worth it.
I'm gonna watch Doc stream God of War, and I will try to finish up Undertale.
All right. Well, I was inspired by some music I've been listening to try and give Divinity Original Sin 2 a try.
Oh. Very good things I've heard about that one.
It's another one we should play, Doc, since it's a co-op RPG.
Yeah. How many players is that, Junkblade?
I have no idea. I downloaded it from my friend's Steam library, so I might have to actually buy it myself to, play it co-op.
Gotcha.
So if it goes on a Steam sale at some point, I will absolutely do that.
Okay, is the Steam sale over? I forgot to look at that. Probably is. Okay. Well, any questions? I doubt it.
Well, we gotta have one because we have all Stockholm, Sweden in the chat right now. I mean,
don't be shy, Stockholm. Hello, Stockholm.
Welcome, Stockholm. And I'm just gonna make an assumption here. And on that note, this has been episode 40. It's been great talking with you guys. I'm amazed we've gotten to episode 40 so quickly after it took us, 3 years to get 13 episodes?
Nailing it. We're nailing it.
So we're starting off 2019 right, and I say we're going to have another 30 episodes done by the end of the year.
That's a good thing to shoot for.
that sort of optimism is how we're going to get there. Yeah, so thank you so much. This has been Prepare Thyself, the finalist boss of the No Shots Fired podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Valen. For Junkblade and Doc, we will see you in episode 41.
Peace out.
Have a good one, guys.
Watch it, AJQ.